So when I first start coming back into indoor, I take videos of myself. That's definitely very important. Make sure you're not doing anything goofy. Other than that, it's blank bailing, getting your shot timing just absolutely dialed.
Hey guys, welcome to Raising an Archer with Scott and Kari. We have kind of an interesting series coming up now. This is called Inside the 10 Ring for Indoor Season Setup. We're going to go ahead and invite some youth and some people to be a part of each one of these for us. We have found in the past that when we do these indoor setup type podcasts, they go too long. They go to 40 minutes or longer. What we're going to do is we're going to break this up into pieces and get these things out very quickly. It's not going to be every 2 weeks, but it'll be very quick when we get these things out. I do want to welcome Cole Ware. He's our special guest. He's a youth archer here in Texas that is probably, I would say, one of the top in the nation. And we wanted him to be a part of this with us.
Welcome, Cole.
Yeah.
Hey,
well,
y'all.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Centerville, Texas, right between Houston and Dallas on 45. That's like the best way to get there.
And if anybody knows, has been through there, they've probably stopped at Woody's there.
Woody's, yep.
got
Beef jerky, barbecue.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Before we get started, Kari did her first podcast last week. Before we started, I said, hey, just so you know, live coverage is way easier than podcasting. And she's like, really? And then she started, like, right before we get started, she's like, I'm getting really nervous.
It's like stage fright.
So what was your first experience? For someone that hasn't ever done a podcast,
It was hard.
It's different.
It was very hard. And you just had to, I don't know. You can't say relax because it's like, it's not the environment. It's just if you're afraid to mess up.
Because there's such specific things that we have to
Yes.
talk about.
Yes.
Right.
But I kept telling you, I can edit you out.
I know.
I can edit dumb stuff out, which I edit a lot of my stuff out. This was the first time you actually got to listen to yourself.
Yes. Yes.
I sent it to you to review.
Yes. And
You kind of drug your feet a little bit on it.
I did.
I ended up posting it without her reviewing it.
without my approval, although it was fine. I just cannot get past listening to myself. And my household will agree that it's not just me. I tried again to listen to the end of the podcast with Connor in the car, pulled into where our destination, stopped, and I was like, man, I've got to turn this off. I can't listen to this anymore. And Connor politely said, yeah, me too, Mom. That's enough. I hear you all the time. I don't need to hear this again. So he doesn't like listening to my voice either.
Especially in like Bose surround sound in your car.
Right, yes, for sure.
So let's dive right back in. What we're going to talk about is outdoor to indoor and making that shift with Cole. We're not going to talk about bow setup or anything like that because there's just so much to go from outdoor to indoor. You've shot your 50-meter shoot for the first time this summer in Albuquerque. I remember you preparing for that because I remember your mom texting me at one point saying, what should we be doing or how should we be practicing for this? And so it is a different kind of mental, it's a different setup for your bow. So that shift, so you're outdoor. Also, you shoot ASA, you shoot a lot of 3D
Yes, sir.
as well. So making that shift from outdoor to indoor, what does it look like mentally, or how do you kind of approach it coming into it?
Well, what I try to do is during 3D season to keep myself in good habits instead of like ruining and just going to crap. I try to shoot an indoor round like once a week at least during ASA or even outdoor season, which will be next year. I'm going to start shooting a lot more of that.
Do you do that you just shoot the arrows that you shoot for 3D or the arrows you're shooting for outdoor?
Yeah, usually like I have skinnies. I'll practice like Texas ringer target,
Yep,
So.
to get yourself ready.
Yep.
So when it is much shorter. So when you're going from outdoor to indoor, do your expectations change at all?
No, I try to keep the same expectations. That way I don't like overdo myself.
And what are some of the expectations that you think through, or some of the things that you come in? Because there's gonna be score expectations. There's gonna probably be practice expectations, and I know it gets harder with daylight when we get into the wintertime with being able to get out there and shoot at certain times that you can. During the summer, you can shoot early in the morning or late in the evenings.
Right. Just this last year I started My dad shoots every once in a while, but I started shooting in the house, which it's like from my parents' bedroom, past the TV in the living room, through the hall, in the archery room. It's 20 yards, but we had to set up cones and stuff. Anyway, that's just like a really good way to stay in practice while not going out in the cold.
Cones, keep mom out of the way.
Well, Connor gets 14 yards upstairs in our house, and there's a door that goes up to the stairs, and there's a door, and he's got a sign on it that says, "Please knock before entering," because the target is right at the door frame.
Right.
So I can see the cones are the same thing.
Yeah, we did the same thing for Ryan, but it wasn't. We didn't get the distance, so we have a mud room. The mud room's maybe about 8 yards long. I put a target at the end, and then he would just go in there and just shoot.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be, and I'd printed off some smaller targets, but
Right.
it really didn't matter. He was just working on form.
On form and muscle memory.
Just for context,
using-
what is a mud room?
What is a mud room? So when you walk
Like
in,
your laundry room.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I didn't know that's what they called those.
Or I mean, it
Well,
could be your
it's-
laundry
it's-
room, or it's like a drop center where you
Yes.
like you walk in from the outside, or
shoes
you walk
and
in from
stuff.
the garage. You take your shoes off,
Right,
drop
okay.
your bags,
I get
that
it.
kind of stuff.
So for us, yeah, it's a mud. It has a little kit. It has a little sink. It has a spot for your shoes, your
Right.
backpack, all that stuff, and then next to it is the laundry room as well. Which we have a freezer there that I just noticed again. Ryan shot and skipped off of the freezer one time.
I've only
Because-
shot 2 holes in the wall. So
Yeah, we have several holes in the wall. It's funny that you mentioned that because we had these kids living with us at one point during like COVID. We had a bunch of kids living with us. They wanted to do something funny, so they started hiding stuff, taking stuff off the walls and hiding it, and then doing like a scavenger hunt where you had to go through all these clues to be able to find your stuff. So you'd find scissors here, you'd go
Oh my
and
goodness.
follow all these things, and they would get carried away. Well, our big family picture we couldn't
couldn't find
find.
it.
We couldn't figure it out.
Right.
But it was a slow, like there was so many of them. And so we would just go through them, and every night we'd kind of work through one. We kind of forgot about that one. Ryan goes and shoots in the laundry room, and he hears something weird when he shoots. They had put our family
no,
picture
behind
behind
his
the
veil.
target and
Oh no!
put a hole right through it, right
Oh
through the
my
family
goodness.
picture.
Who did he hit?
It was just above. It was above.
Oh,
it was
okay,
above.
okay,
it was
okay.
above.
I was about to say.
Cole, do you feel like indoor or outdoor easier?
I feel like, well, indoor is going to make you a better shooter. Hands down, I think anybody could agree with that. 3D is easier, but there's a lot more variables like weather, lighting, constantly changing. If somebody shoots Saturday, they might have different weather and lighting than the person that shoots Sunday. So like pro-ams and stuff, the pros, they talk about that a lot. It's kind of unfair in my opinion. I feel like everybody shoots the same day, same conditions and everything. But that's just how it is.
And then your first outdoor target experience, did your experience in 3D prepare you for your first outdoor target at Albuquerque?
Yes, it definitely did. Something that I thought that I was going to understand was the wind. I thought I was going to be like, just step up there and shoot, and the wind would be fine, just be used to shooting in the wind. It was different because the wind changes a bunch of different stuff. It changes the temperature. For one, like Albuquerque was a different animal. I love the dry weather. Anyway, all right, lighting. So you're out in the middle of a field in Albuquerque, right? And that lighting is, so if you have holes in your target, it's probably a better thing. Me personally, I shoot a dot. The lighting, if you have really bright lighting, then that black hole ain't going to appear, which I really realized that. Griv, George Riles, brought that up. He was like, when you pull your arrows, don't plug your holes. They're plastic targets. Anyway, he said don't plug your holes because that black dot, if you have a black hole in the middle of the target, that black dot is just going to disappear in there and you just shoot your shot at that black dot. It's a lot easier to aim at, that's for sure.
That's a good tip.
And I know for indoor that a lot of people will block those holes. They won't fill in the holes on the center.
Yeah.
Because they want to see that.
Right, but they don't want to,
hole.
if you've got one catching, then right outside the 10 ring indoor, you close those up because you don't want your eye catching those.
Focus.
It's harder to see those little holes on those big targets at 50 meters with those micro arrows too.
Right.
And the wind too, we were there, and the wind almost between ends was different. You could watch the flags on the field blow one way for a little bit, and then you're up to shoot again, and then they're blowing. They kind of swirled a little bit with mountains, and then there were some thunderstorms in the area. We never
Yeah, so
We didn't have them during our shooting time, but
Jesse Johnson, you know him, the
Yep.
USA coach. He was telling us that the hot air balloon park that they have Albuquerque, the Joe Nationals at, is just a bowl, and basically they use that wind current in that bowl for the hot air balloons. So there's constantly a
Interesting.
storm cloud coming in and then just going around the bowl, and then the wind is constantly changing. So it's just like
Okay.
Swirling.
perfect.
Yeah.
One thing I'm going to speak from a parent's perspective. When we move from outdoor to indoor, it's like you're saying goodbye to sunburns, the heat,
Oh,
the mosquitoes,
yes, for sure.
all of that.
I'm ready for indoor season by usually before outdoor nationals because it's so hot in South Texas.
It
So
really is.
I'm usually ready for indoor season by then.
And I know this is what a lot of the parents say, and I'm with them on this. Like for Texas, outdoor and indoor are shift. It should be the other way
It
around.
should be the opposite.
Yes,
Yeah, we should be
definitely.
shooting indoor during the summertime and outdoor about right now when it's
Right now
when
is
it's
absolutely
nice.
beautiful.
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful
Yes.
outside. It does get hot in the afternoon, but if you can get the first few hours,
Yeah,
if you can get a shoot done by noon,
yeah.
it's going to be a good shoot. So the atmosphere. Let's talk about outdoor atmosphere versus indoor atmosphere, and I think this can mess with your mind a little bit because outdoor has such a big area. You're kind of confined to a small group of people that you come back to the tent with, but when you go to indoor, there's a lot of chaos
Right.
going on. So
Yeah.
tell me what your thoughts are on
So
that.
indoor, in the past, I've had problems with kids like touching my back or something when I'm shooting. That atmosphere, you have to practice for that, being in cramped conditions.
For the
like on-
interruptions.
Yeah, for
Much
sure.
smaller lanes.
Right, for
Yeah,
indoor
indoor
versus,
versus
outdoor.
What is
Yeah.
it, like 28 inches, I think?
Yeah, it's close to that. You
Yeah.
know, here we do
2.5
feet is what we do here.
Yeah.
I think that NFAA is 2 feet.
Yeah,
Right.
For
some
indoor?
ranges, I think that's the very minimum. And
That
some
is-
ranges push that limit and it might be like 23 inches
It
or
is
22
tight.
inches. Yeah, some
You
of
would
the
think
indoor
2 feet
ranges.
was good. No, it's not. Like once you
Yeah.
you shoot open class, recurve, there's a lot of bow
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
out
Yeah.
there. The other thing I was going to mention, we were talking about expectations on score. I used to love to go to outdoor season because it changed a little bit where it's like you didn't have to be perfect to still be competitive.
Right. So definitely in the ASA world, not everybody. So the way that the scoring works is, say you shot a 30 target course, 300 is just par. If you ever played golf before,
Yep.
300 is par, and if you shot like a 305 or a 306, that would be considered 6 up. 360 is a perfect score, so that would be 60 up. Nobody's shooting 60 up. I mean, you're hitting a 1.5 inch ring at my yardage max last year was 40 yards. It's different every time, but nobody's going to be shooting a perfect score. So you could mess up and then shoot a 12 or 2 on the next target and be right back up there in the top 3. Whereas in indoor, most kids on the top level are going to be shooting like perfect scores.
There's very little room for error.
Yeah, and you can't make it back up either.
No.
And for you, it's not even shooting a 300 on an NFA target. It's the X count that matters.
Yeah.
And-
The first place last year, I remember he had like 1 or 2 60Xs, I think. Yeah.
Very little room
Yes,
for error.
Yes, very.
And I would say from a mental perspective, that's rough because you're practicing and practicing and practicing to not miss at all. And when my son was his junior year, him and his buddy were putting up mid 50X 300s,
Right.
mid to high at that point. Ryan, it was always about 2 points, 2 X's ahead of him, 2 X's ahead of him. And when we got to the end of the season, he had said, I think I'm done with indoor. And I was like, really? Like the amount of time those boys were putting in was a lot. And he said, I put in a lot of time to make up 2 X's
Yeah.
to get to 57
Yeah, for sure.
to 58 X's. He's like, I don't know what it's going to take to get to 60, and it's just too much.
Right. Do you feel like you put in more time indoor than outdoor for practice?
Yes, definitely. But I will say that like shooting 3D, I shoot the unknown class. That takes a lot of practice.
For judging.
Yes. I
distances,
shot
yeah.
a 3D tournament a while back, or like a week ago, actually. And I hadn't shot any unknown stuff. I missed like 3 targets. Our max was 50 yards. I remember I judged one for 47, and it was like 39. I was that far
You're
off.
almost 10,
Yeah.
10 yards off.
Yeah. It was bad.
Well, judging distance is a whole nother ball game.
Especially when you've been shooting one distance for a month.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah.
outdoor, there's so many different games, too. Like, we were just talking about 3D. So you have target, you have 3D.
Field.
You have field, yes. So there's a lot of different options for outdoor. So it really spreads it thinner of, I would say, competition. I would say, in my opinion, competition gets tougher for outdoor because it really is a commitment to shoot outdoor because it's hot.
For sure.
Right.
It's hard to get out there because it is. It's not sitting in AC and practicing over and over and over and kind of joking around with your buddies. You're out there, and even if you weren't, it's just you can kind of knock out a lot of arrows quickly. At 50 meters, like you could shoot 2 hours by yourself and just barely score a normal round.
Right. Yeah. 72 arrows. That's a lot
Yeah.
for 50 meters.
Let's step back and just talk about what that experience is for you when you come into indoor. Is there anything memorable that you have done in your career that you can remember which was really funny or something that that was you're proud of?
Right. So my first 300, I shot it here actually at Texas Archery, and my mom was in the stands, and it was the last end. I was next to, shout out Daryl Dancer. I was shooting next to him, and this guy, like 3 or 4 lanes over, had shot his bow, and it flew across the ground and just skidded all the way out there. Daryl was behind me. I was drew back. I'm shooting a hinge. I was past my click. Daryl was already done shooting, but he was waiting for me to shoot my last arrow. And that dude, his bow skidded across the floor like that, and Daryl was like, hey, let down. I let down. I had like 45 seconds left on the clock. I take a deep breath. He was like, just make a good shot. I draw back, and I think I drilled the X. We'd have to pull up the clip one day. I think I drilled the X. And
I remember I remember that too.
My mom started screaming up in the stands. She
That's
was so
probably why
happy.
I remember it is because your mom was
His
screaming.
mom. Yep. That's a good story.
But I remember that moment. And the reason why I remember it was because your mom was screaming, and we watched it over because somebody had said to me that you knew cameras were on you, and that could have affected your shooting. I was like, no, it didn't, because we looked at it.
I would go and look at the camera.
Yeah, you'd look at the camera. I was talking to Ryan the other day, and I said, do you see the camera? He's like, I never do, but I do look at the camera every so often to make a face and hoping
They do.
that you guys would
They
capture
do.
it.
Sometimes they do. I'm like, do they see the camera moving? But then we found out Ryan later. Ryan and SK, I think it was. We're like, no, we just make faces just to see if y'all can see us or not.
And I do. The reason why I want to mention this is that when you shot that last shot, even though you let down, and and Daryl Dancer said, "Hey, settle down, shoot your shot." Your timing was just the same. It wasn't like you just like took a huge big deep breath and you kind of shook it off. No, you just like did your normal. Okay, let me go ahead and
Mental reset.
You just reset, and you boom, 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 bang, and you hit the dead center on it. I think that's what's important for indoor. Timing is different from outdoor to indoor, and let's talk a little bit about that. So when I first was talking to you, I was like, so do you do anything different when you go from outdoor to indoor? And you're like, nothing. And I was like, well, what about timing? You're like, oh, yeah, timing is different. Tell us, what does that look like for you?
So when I first start coming back into indoor, I take videos of myself. That's definitely very important to make sure you're not doing anything goofy. Other than that, it's blank bailing, getting your shot timing just absolutely dialed.
So that it does change a little bit on the timing. Outdoor, you actually have to adjust it on the fly sometimes, depending on the wind or even the heat. Because if you're getting out there getting exhausted, you got to get those shots off quick enough.
Right.
With not super fast, but it has to be a quick timing. And I know that my son, when he works on outdoor, he has 2 different timings that he works on, so that if he decides, hey, I can take my time to shoot, I'm going to go with this style, this timing. If it's windy or raining or whatever, the timing has to be fast. And
Right.
so he has one that he practices.
With the indoor season approaching and just kicking off, do you have any major tournaments that you're looking to go shoot?
I will be going to Vegas this year. This will be my first year going to Vegas.
All right.
You already booked everything?
You have to get with my mom on that. She's the offensive coordinator. So.
Yeah. She's the manager.
Yeah, she's
what about Aggie? Will you be shooting Aggie?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Good.
I'd have seen some big names this year for Aggie.
For Aggie, I know.
Yes.
I know. That's always a good.
Outdoor, the lighting is normally kind of the same. It's bright, or not real bright in the mornings, kind of bright in the afternoon. So you kind of have to, there's this transition that you have to do with your sight, because as the sun moves, your sight picture moves a little bit. So you have to add a few clicks as you go through. Indoors, different.
Right.
So to explain to us, what's your experience? And I know a lot of I'd say the higher end archers, the advanced archers understand going from one range to another, what to expect. What, from your experience, if you shot here or you went to another shop, would you expect your sight to be exactly the same?
No. I would expect the lighting, your left and rights are definitely going to change, not necessarily up and downs, but lighting left and rights, you might have to give it a couple clicks.
I remember I had one kid that would give me, every time he would go shoot somewhere, he'd tell me how many clicks he had to add. And I know he went over to this one shop over here, and he said, I had to add 12 clicks. And I was like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But that, just to set that expectation, it could be a lot, depending on how the light, because those fluorescents play with your sight picture some.
Right.
Especially if you're shooting fiber. He was shooting fiber indoor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes a big difference.
It does make a big difference.
If you don't have a light, you're not very dialed.
Yeah. Yes. And he used to complain a lot about not being able to use his light for USA, which he was able to use for NFAA.
And it depends too
3D.
on if the target faces are lit, but the archers don't have a lot of lighting on them, or vice versa, where there's a lot of lighting on the archers and not very much downrange. That does play with the sight a little bit, and that's where you want parents, if you're listening, don't, if your kids can adjust the sight on their own, or if you can do it for them, don't be hesitant.
Clicks are free.
Clicks are free.
That's why you pay for an expensive sight.
You're right.
That is a
You're right.
true
Don't
statement.
be hesitant to move those. When the kid's telling you, Mom, everything's left. Well, I mean, more than likely it's not. We at this point hope that it's not the kid, changing something, that it is just difference in lighting in the ranges.
So indoor is not off season, outdoor is not off season. You have to, if you're going to be able to stay on top of your game, you have to shoot them all.
Yep. Archery's full season.
Right.
And
year round.
There's not a lot of sports like this
archery
that transition from indoor to outdoor. And then there's the 3D season that's in between both indoor and outdoor. You have field. There's just so many opportunities. But the one thing about indoor is what brings archers into archery.
Right.
You don't have somebody just as a beginner saying, you know what, I want to shoot outdoor.
Right.
No, but that no one ever said.
Right.
Indoor is the perfect time. This time of the year right now is the perfect time to get into archery at the beginning of the season, and you can get yourself really ready all the way through indoor season, and then you could go right into the outdoor season at that point as well.
Right.
Cole, do you have any goals for indoor season this year? Yeah.
Yes, definitely to shoot. I've always said this, and it's pretty true. For at least for Siwat, shoot your way across Texas. If you shoot 360 X's, nobody should be able to beat you.
Yeah, right.
That would be a good goal.
yeah. So that's always my goal.
Good.
But you have to have realistic standards.
Good. That's probably our tip of the week this week, is to set an achievable goal, but something that you're going to be realistic. Yeah, something realistic but achievable, and knowing that it's going to improve your archery game.
And I know that there are, coming into a competition, you always want, like Vegas, 900. That's the goal, right?
Right.
But have you shot a 900 in practice? And if you've only shot a couple, don't expect to go to Vegas and shoot a 900. Showing up at Aggie Invite and knowing that you shot a 290 one time, you can't set that as your expectation. You have to figure out what your average is and probably take a few points off of it, because
the big stage
all the lighting, all the people, it kind of changes all of that.
Isn't Aggie Invite also Inner 10?
It is.
Oh, it is. Yes.
Bringing that up, honestly, if you're shooting inner 10, don't change anything that you do. Just keep the same mindset. It's just going to be aim small, miss small. It's going to be a lot more centered of a focus.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
And I love that you brought that up, because when Ryan was training for Vegas last year, he could shoot a 900 all day long. I mean, it was not a problem. He didn't care about the 900. He cared about his X count.
Right.
Because that's where it matters. That's when you miss, you want to miss the X, not the 10.
Right.
So you want to keep that.
Yeah.
Keep that
Some
up.
people say X's don't lie. Well, the score doesn't lie.
Right.
Like if you're shooting, Siwat and you drop a 4, but you still shoot 59 X's, you shot a 299.
Yep.
The X's is just like a tiebreaker. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be worrying about the X's unless you're shooting 300s.
That's true. So next time when we meet, we're going to dive into the gear. What type of gear, stabilizers, arrows, and all the tweaks that have to happen during that. But I do want to thank Cole for coming and joining us.
Yes.
sir.
This
Is
is
your-
a
is
good
this your first-
conversation.
Yeah, was this your
It was a
first
good
podcast?
conversation.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming in and being a part of this. This was a lot of fun. I think this series is going to be a good one.
I think so too. I'm excited.
Very excited.
All right, listeners, we appreciate your shares, your likes, and your downloads. We will see you at the next target.